Right now at 8, the father of the ALCS shooter appears in court Friday. We'll hear what his bail is set at after being charged with 3 felony counts. Plus, celebrating Pope Leo the 14th, got a look at reaction to his election, as well as his ties to the U.S. This is Weekend Mornings, and we thank you for joining us here on this Saturday, May 10th on Kyle Pizarski. And let's start with a look at the first warm forecast, and Jacob Madison has that. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, Kyle. It's going to be a very nice weekend, and you can kind of already see that with these temperatures. They are quite a bit warmer compared to this time yesterday, upper 50s and lower 60s. And looking at the temperature change over the last 24 hours, up around 10 to 20 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. Now, during the afternoon hours, it won't be quite that warmer, but it's still going to be a little bit warmer compared to yesterday afternoon. But the reason that temperatures aren't going to get into the 80s, which is what we're expecting next week, today we're going to see a little bit of a northeasterly breeze. Not too bad, but you can kind of already see it right now, up around 8 to 15 miles per hour, depending on your location, especially for Madison areas to the east and also further north in central and northern Wisconsin. And again, this breeze is going to keep the temperatures down just a little bit, but they're still going to be above normal. Looking at the forecast throughout the day, we'll have plenty of sunshine, highs in the lower 70s, winds around 10 to 12 miles per hour, not too bad. And as we look at across, the northerly winds won't be quite as strong, which is why temperatures may get a little bit warmer with highs in the middle 70s. And across the board, it's going to be a very nice day. Might be a bit cooler, though, closer to the lake where highs will only be in the 50s for Milwaukee. So very nice today, even warmer tomorrow, and then even warmer for next work week. I'll talk more in detail about that coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Now, topping our news, the father of the Abundant Life Christian School shooter was in court Friday. Jeffrey Ruppnow is facing several charges, with District Attorney Ismail Ozain calling the case, quote, unprecedented. Ruppnow's bond was set at $20,000 for the 3 felony counts. You remember, it was on Thursday when he was arrested. That same day, a criminal complaint revealed that Ruppnow had knowledge of his child's history of mental health problems and suicidal ideations. Ozain saying this during Ruppnow's initial appearance.
Mr. Ruppnow does not have criminal history. Mr. Ruppnow has ties to our community. Mr. Ruppnow purchased the firearms legally. But Mr. Ruppnow, in providing the firearms to a minor child, was responsible for the minor's actions with firearms.
The criminal complaint also alleges Ruppnow kept numerous guns in a safe in his home, which were largely available to his daughter. To Sauk County, where a Reedsburg man is now in custody after police say they found drugs and a gun inside his vehicle. Officers stopped the 21-year-old on Viking Drive Friday morning. Police say a search of his car found a loaded gun and cocaine. The man is facing several tentative charges, including operating while under the influence, as well as carrying a concealed weapon and possession of cocaine. The man linked to the arrest of a Milwaukee County judge appeared in court this week in a deportation case. Federal authorities allege Eduardo Flores Ruiz avoided arrest by ICE agents with the help of Judge Hannah Dugan. The judge granted Flores Ruiz's attorney's request to withdraw from a separate case involving multiple battery charges. His appearance was also waived in the county courtroom since he is in federal custody.
And I would highlight that among the reasons for that is that this need for a new lawyer is not based on any conduct of Mr. Ruiz.
Now, a few hours later, Flores Ruiz appeared in federal court after being indicted by a grand jury. The 30-year-old pleaded not guilty to illegally re-entering the United States. Catholics across the world are still celebrating the election of a new pope. And here in the U.S., his election marks a special moment since it is the first U.S.-born pope ever. CBS's Christian Benavides reports on how the world is marking the occasion.
Pope Leo XIV is the first U.S.-born pontiff to lead the Catholic Church. Enthusiasm over his election is evident among many American faithful, including these American seminarians in Rome.
I'm still processing it. It's wild.
Robert Francis Prevost was born and raised in Dalton, Illinois, a suburb just south of Chicago.
The Pope!
In the Windy City, Bishop Larry Sullivan spoke following a special mass to mark the moment.
The fact that we can celebrate that he's from Chicago, just gives us another opportunity to really feel very close and connected to him.
Prevost is the youngest of 3 boys. Luis Prevost is one of his older brothers.
To me, he's my little brother. If I get to see him again, I'm going to treat him like I treat my little brother. Until somebody slaps me and says, "You can't talk to the Pope like that."
On his first full day as Pope, Leo XIV celebrated Mass.
I'll begin with a word in English.
And spoke in English of the great responsibility he bears as leader of the church.
You have called me to carry that cross and to be blessed with that mission.
The mission will include mending divisions within the church as he ushers in a new era, one made in America. Cristian Benavides, CBS News.
And today, the newly elected Pope is set to meet formally with the cardinals who elected him, and tomorrow he will deliver his first Sunday noon blessing from the main balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. And take a look at Wall Street, where investors closed out an unusually calm week on Friday. The S&P 500 slipped 0.1% to finish the week, and it's the first week in 7 where the index at the heart of many 401k accounts moved by less than 1.5%. This all after careening in fears about President Trump's trade war. And in Washington, House Republicans are now considering making changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is better known as SNAP. These changes may include new work requirements. A source says the House Agricultural Committee is considering moving the age of work requirements for able-bodied adults from 54 to 64 years of age. Another possible change under consideration would require parents of school-aged children to work or volunteer 20 hours a week. The committee is also reportedly looking to impose new requirements for states to supplement some of the cost of this program. States would, in this program, be paid on their amount based on their overpayment error rate. SNAP benefits are currently fully funded by the federal government. And this week, the Department of Education is once again trying to collect federal student loans in default. According to the department, more than 5 million borrowers are in default. Also, 4 million additional borrowers are in late-stage delinquency. The Student Debt Crisis Center says there are ways to know if you're in default and some steps you can take to get out.
StudentAid.gov. That is going to be your North Star as a student loan borrower to see what program you're in, how far in repayment you are.
The nonprofit says that you can look into loan consolidation to halt the default process. There is also default rehabilitation, which pulls the loan out of default status, and borrowers can also pay as little as $5 for 9 months. A judge in Southern California Friday delayed a resentencing hearing for the Menendez brothers. This comes after defense attorneys dropped a motion to have the district attorney removed from the case. They previously argued that Nathan Hochman's involvement would prevent the brothers from getting a fair hearing.
That motion, as we argued in our papers, was completely devoid of merit. And we thought, in fact, we argued it was a desperate and last-ditch motion, not to deal with the facts of resentencing, but to try and throw off the entire district attorney's office based on some alleged conflicts of interest.
Now, last year, Hochman's predecessor announced he would push to have the brothers resentenced to 50 years in prison. If the judge agrees, they'll be eligible for parole immediately. Hochman wants the Menendez brothers to remain locked up. More local news at the state capitol. Wisconsin law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty were honored Friday, and almost 46 years after his death, the family of Dane County traffic officer Harland Orsborn is receiving a special honor. The Dane County Sheriff's Office taking a moment to officially acknowledge the family of Officer Orsborn, who was killed in 1979 when his patrol car was hit by another vehicle. He was 38 years old at the time, and ever since, a picture has been hanging in the Dane County Sheriff's Office, but his family never received the special honor reserved for families of fallen officers. That is, until now.
We've been coming to the police memorial since it began at this building, and it's just grown and grown, and unfortunately every year there's someone to honor. So thanks to Deputy Haley, we're kind of getting a little moment for our dad.
This year's honor roll also included Beloit Police Officer Daniel J. Daly, bringing the total number of names listed on the memorial to 294. And the results are in for the Milwaukee Press Club's Excellence in Journalism Awards. Madison Magazine is bringing home 9 awards this year, and one of those is gold for the best column online. The magazine received 3 silver awards for best overall design, best illustration, cartoon or animation, and best single story or feature design. Madison Magazine also won 5 bronze awards. Coming up on 10 past the hour, still ahead, got the MedWeek report, which lays out some dangers to eating ultra-processed foods. But first, Jacob will be back with a full check of the first warn forecast. That's next here on Weekend Mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. Beautiful conditions this weekend with 80s in the forecast for next week. We do have a chance of storms Tuesday, but a better chance of storms will come Thursday. However, this weekend there's pretty much a 0% chance of precipitation. We may not even see a single cloud in the sky throughout the entire weekend. Plenty of sunshine, highs in the 70s today, middle 70s further northwest. And as I mentioned earlier, it is going to be a bit cooler as you get closer to the lake because of that lake breeze, so highs may only be in the 60s for eastern counties, and closer to Lake Michigan near Milwaukee, highs may only be in the 50s. Now overnight, the clear skies will allow temperatures to get rather chilly for your Sunday morning. Lows will be in the lower 40s, maybe even upper 30s. A bit milder further west, where lows will be in the upper 40s to lower 50s, but everywhere we'll see those temperatures warm up very nicely into the 70s at least. Again, maybe only the 60s closer to the lake, but 70s for our area, and further northwest, La Crosse to Eau Claire, you folks may see highs in the lower 80s for your Mother's Day. Now, looking at our next chance of rain, it will come on Tuesday. We'll see the clouds start to increase Monday evening, and we'll see some isolated showers and a few storms as well on Tuesday. But if it does rain, it will be very brief, not expected to rain the entire day, and some areas may not see any rain at all. That'll be a similar situation for Wednesday. A few light showers are possible, but a lot of the day should be dry. Now for Thursday, we'll start out dry, but this is where rain will be most likely. Later in the day, Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening, we'll see a line of showers and storms potentially move through the area, and there is the possibility that some of those storms could be severe. We don't have an alert day yet, but we are keeping an eye on the potential for severe weather Thursday evening as this line of storms moves in. It will continue into the early overnight hours, but by sunrise Friday, it should be out of the area. But that line of storms will also dramatically shift the temperatures. We'll be seeing highs in the lower 80s, possibly Monday through Thursday, but starting Friday, lower 70s, then 60s by the time we get to the weekend. Now, obviously still very comfortable. We're pretty much in the time of the year where even temperatures below normal are comfortable, but it obviously will be noticeably cooler by the time we get to next weekend. Could also see some rain to start the following week as those high temperatures will continue to fall just a little bit. So very, very nice the next 2 days. Might get a little bit warm on Monday, but still pretty good. And then upper 70s to lower 80s for highs through Thursday. And then that line of storms Thursday evening cools things down for next weekend.
All right, Jacob. Well, thank you. Next this morning, got the dangers of eating ultra-processed foods and the tragic toll the flu is taking on children. Michael George has the week's top health stories.
Child flu deaths in the U.S. are at their highest level in 15 years. The CDC reported 216 children have died during this flu season, the most since the 2009-2010 swine flu pandemic. Doctors say the biggest factor is that fewer children are getting flu shots, with vaccination levels dropping from 64% 5 years ago to 49% this season. A growing number of Americans are suffering from depression. A study in JAMA found while around 8% of people said they were depressed in 2013, the number in 2023 was higher than 12%. The biggest reasons are a worsening economy, increased social isolation, and healthcare disruptions that started during the COVID pandemic. People who eat more ultra-processed foods are more likely to have early signs of Parkinson's disease. Research by the American Academy of Neurology showed eating ultra-processed foods like breakfast cereal, packaged sweets, and sweetened beverages could potentially influence the development of Parkinson's disease. But it's still unknown if they can cause Parkinson's. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News.
And we're coming up now on 8:17. Still ahead here, got a possible scientific reason for mother's intuition. Plus, Will Loper joins us with the 3 things you need to watch on this Mother's Day weekend. Stick with us. We're back in a bit. We heard of a mother's intuition. You know, that's the way your mother knows when something is off, even when no one else in the family picks up on it. Well, a psychologist says there may be a scientific reason for that. Susan Albers with the Cleveland Clinic says it's not magic or a superpower. Instead, it's a bit of neurobiology and learning history. This is due really in part to pattern recognition. She says spending time with your child releases a chemical that helps you feel bonded to others. It can strengthen the connection and help a mother interpret what a child is going through. But she also says sometimes intuition can be confused with anxiety.
A simple way to tell the difference is that intuition is that clear, calm, internal voice in your head that gives you a little nudge. In contrast, anxiety is loud, chaotic, and a little bit like a siren, urgency.
Albert says mothers should tune into their gut and listen to it, especially if they get a sense that their child is in danger, even when there's no evidence of that. She further says moms often know what's going on with their child, even on a subconscious level. Let's check in with Jacob. Going to have a really good Mother's Day tomorrow. Not a cloud in the sky is what you were saying earlier, right?
Yeah, this whole weekend will be very dry, and it's been dry over the last week or so. All of the rainfall we've seen so far this month happened in the first 3 days, but it was enough to still have the average by still be above the average by over an inch. Now, the entire year we are a little bit below that normal, especially because January, February were pretty below normal. And as I mentioned, we haven't had any drops of rainfall, at least in Madison, since last Saturday. And we're not going to see any drops for the next couple of days. Now, next week there is a better chance of rainfall. And looking at the current drought conditions, the good news is that because of that rain we saw at the beginning of the month, this last week, we were able to, afford the dry week of rain without any drought conditions forming. Obviously, if that were to continue, we would see those drought conditions forming. But because we do have a good chance of rain at points next week, it may, help the drought situation or rather prevent it from forming. So a chance of rain Tuesday, but a better chance will come Thursday into Thursday night.
All right, Jacob, thank you. In entertainment news, after more than 6 decades of rock history, The Who is taking its final bow. This week, the legendary rockers Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend announced their farewell tour in America, titled The Song Is Over. It will kick off on August 16th with a 16-date tour that will hit major cities like Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia, and Seattle. The tour will wrap in Las Vegas in late September, and tickets are on sale starting this coming Friday, with pre-sale starting on Tuesday. Taylor Swift has been subpoenaed as a witness in the legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Now, this is over the movie It Ends With Us. Swift was first mentioned in connection to the ongoing legal dispute when text messages between Swift and Lively were revealed. The texts were reportedly brought up in connection with Baldoni's $400 million defamation countersuit against Lively, as well as her husband, Ryan Reynolds. Lively has accused Baldoni of sexual harassment and retaliation. Baldoni has denied those allegations. There's clearly no shortage of films and shows streaming. Our Will Loper, like he does every weekend, shares a few of the best in this weekend's 3 Things to Watch.
I'm going through my mom and Nona's recipes, and then I realized food is love. So I want to open an Italian restaurant. What are you, crazy?
Get in touch with your inner Italian grandmother with Nona's, newly streaming on Netflix.
It has to work because it's not just a restaurant, it's more about family, especially for people who may not have family anymore. Maybe the one good idea we can take from this is not to fight in the kitchen.
Oh, she started it.
You ladies are killing me.
Vince Vaughn stars as a man who loses his mother and to honor her memory opens a restaurant with real Italian grandmas as the chefs.
I am from Bologna. I spit on Bologna. Spit on Sicily, okay?
He's seeing the blades of grass, and he's turning himself into blades of grass.
This is a story about the octopus.
What creature does that?
Learn all about cephalopods in the 2-part documentary Octopus, newly streaming on Amazon Prime Video.
I think that they're very charismatic, even though they're very ugly.
I thank you so much for having me. I like to blend in. I don't want to look like a tourist. You want to buy a map? And it just says, Google it!
And travel around the world once again with Conan O'Brien Must Go Season 2, newly streaming on Max.
It's very important to get a local guide. Is it Javier Bardem? Is it Bardem?
Yeah, I was forced to be here.
The TV host travels to countries like Spain and New Zealand, packing his signature humor for the journey.
When in New Zealand, you have to hook up with Taika Waititi. There we go. These are good eyes, right?
They're good eyes for the
Then why don't you put me in a film?
This is it.
No!
Those are the 3 things you need to watch, and this is Will Loper for Weekend Mornings.
And still ahead on Weekend Mornings, got another look at today's biggest news headlines. Stick with us. We're back in a bit. Coming up on 8:30 right now, the father of the ALCS shooter appears in court. What his bail is set at after being charged with 3 felony counts.
And conditions this Mother's Day weekend look just about perfect. All the full forecast coming up.
This is Weekend Mornings, and we thank you for joining us here on this new half hour on Kyle Pazorski on this Saturday, May 10th. And let's get to that first warm forecast. Jacob here. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Kyle. Temperatures right now already fairly mild, a good sign of what's to come this weekend. Upper 50s to lower 60s, and yesterday morning it was a rather chilly start, and compared to 24 hours ago, it is noticeably warmer, up around 10 to 20 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. Now, afternoon highs will just be a little bit warmer compared to yesterday, and that's because we are going to have a little bit of a northeasterly breeze that will keep the temperatures down just a little bit, but I say that, and I'm saying keep them down from where they could be, which is potentially 80s, which is what we're expecting next week. So although the breeze will keep them down a little bit, we're actually still going to be above normal. Right now we're seeing wind speeds around 8 to 15 miles per hour. We're going to continue to see a little bit of that breeze, especially in the morning. It will get better a little bit later in the day, but the winds will be stronger closer to Lake Michigan, where the temperatures will also be a bit cooler. But looking at the forecast throughout the day, upper 60s to lower 70s throughout much of the day with plenty of sunshine. Winds around 10 to 12 miles per hour, not too bad for Madison at all. La Crosse, the winds won't be quite as strong, which will allow temperatures to warm up a little bit more. Highs will be in the middle 70s. And looking at the highs across the area, 70s for the most part, 60s further east, and as you get closer to Lake Michigan, maybe highs in the 50s. But it's going to get even warmer for Mother's Day and then even warmer for next week. I'll have the details on that coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. First this half hour to continuing coverage, the father of the Abundant Life Christian School shooter was in court for his initial appearance on Friday. Reporter Maddie Heimsch is there and brings us the details.
District Attorney Ismail Ozan called the case unprecedented as Jeffrey Rupnow made his initial appearance today and bail was set at $20,000.
We have 2 deceased victims, multiple gunshot victims, 1 still in critical condition, all still dealing with the problem. But the defendant, Mr. Rupnow, was not the actual shooter.
Rupnow faces 2 counts of intentionally giving a dangerous weapon to a minor, resulting in death, and 1 count of contributing to child delinquency.
These facts allege that Mr. Rupnow purchased and provided firearms and allowed unlimited access to the internet to his minor child.
Rupnow was arrested Thursday morning. That same day, a criminal complaint revealed that Rupnow was aware of his child's suicidal ideations and mental health challenges.
There was no other person who knew the child better than the defendant.
And kept numerous guns in a safe in his home, largely available to his daughter. Ozan stating that while Rupnow wasn't the shooter, his, quote, lack of judgment contributed to December's violence.
Mr. Rupnow does not have criminal history. Mr. Rupnow has ties to our community. Mr. Rupnow purchased the firearms legally. But Mr. Rupnow, in providing the firearms to a minor child, was responsible for the minor's actions with firearms.
Rupnow's status conference was scheduled for June 9th. Reporting in downtown Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
And Maddie, thank you. Right now, India and Pakistan have reportedly agreed to a ceasefire following U.S.-led talks to end the most serious military confrontation between the two nuclear-armed rivals in many decades. The ceasefire deal follows weeks of clashes, missile and drone strikes across their borders that were triggered by a gun massacre of a tourist last month. India blames that incident on Pakistan, which denies the charge. Dozens of civilians have been killed on both sides. The first word of this truce came from U.S. President Donald Trump, who posted on his Truth Social platform that he was pleased to announce the two countries agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Some other top stories we are following. U.S. trade talks with China are scheduled to take place today and begin for the first time since the president's trade war began with China. The U.S. Treasury Secretary arrived in Geneva on Friday ahead of the high-stakes talks. President Trump hinted on social media that he's open to lowering tariffs on Chinese imports from 145% to just 80%. But White House officials caution change depends on the outcome of the talks.
Not going to unilaterally bring down tariffs on China. We need to see concessions from them as well. And again, that's part of the reason that Secretary Besson is going to talk to his Chinese counterparts this weekend.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration says there may be 3 new trade deals announced at the White House soon. U.S. troops who do not identify with their birth gender have only a few weeks to turn in their uniforms. The Pentagon released a memo this week setting a departing deadline of June 6th for these active service members to voluntarily leave. It is July 7th for those in reserve, and troops who voluntarily separate from the military will receive twice their separation pay. After those dates, involuntary separation will begin. It is a big weekend here in Madison as more than 9,000 students from UW are set to receive their degrees. So whether you are attending or not, you should be prepared for lots of traffic. Many campus parking lots will be free all throughout the weekend. Also, a complimentary shuttle service will run to Camp Randall for the ceremony. For full details or on the event, parking, and more, just head to that link that you're seeing there on your screen. That's commencement.wisc.edu. The main commencement ceremony at Camp Randall starts today at noon. The man linked to the arrest of a Milwaukee County judge appeared in court this week for a deportation case. Federal authorities allege that Eduardo Flores Ruiz avoided arrest by ICE agents with the help of Judge Hannah Dugan. The judge granted Flores Ruiz's attorney's request to withdraw from a separate case involving multiple battery charges. His appearance was also waived in the county courtroom since he is in federal custody.
And I would highlight that among the reasons for that is that this need for a new lawyer is not based on any conduct of Mr. Ruiz.
Now, a few hours later, Flores Ruiz appeared in federal court after being indicted by a grand jury. The 30-year-old pleaded not guilty to illegally re-entering the United States. Staying here in southern Wisconsin, Iowa County officials are working to restore and rebuild part of their computer network after discovering suspicious activity due to ransomware. Iowa County Emergency Management says the activity was detected on April 28th. They started working with cybersecurity experts to investigate at that time and found the computer environment was impacted by the ransomware. The outside expert investigation is now ongoing. In the meantime, the county says there may be delays in its ability to provide information, respond to requests, or work with partners. Pope Leo XIV got right to work at the Vatican Friday, celebrating Mass the day after he was elected. And today, the newly elected Pope is set to meet formally with the cardinals who elected him during the week's 2-day conclave at the Vatican. He will also deliver his first Sunday noon blessing from the main balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan said Pope Leo's work could promote unity on a global scale.
It should not startle us that we would look to Pope Leo as a bridge builder. That's what the Latin word pontiff means. He's a bridge builder.
The papal inauguration is scheduled for May 18th, and Pope Leo will preside over his first general audience in a few days. A judge in Southern California Friday delayed a resentencing hearing for the Menendez brothers. Now, this comes after defense attorneys dropped a motion to have the district attorney removed from the case. They previously argued that Nathan Hochman's involvement would prevent the brothers from getting a fair hearing. In Washington, we learned Friday that retired Supreme Court Justice David Souter has died. He made it to the High Court in 1990 after being nominated by then-President George H.W. Bush. Souter served for nearly 2 decades before retiring in 2009. In a statement, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts said Souter, quote, brought uncommon wisdom to kindness to a lifetime of service. Souter was 85 years old. Time now is 8:38. Still ahead, we help you plan your weekend with loads of fun activities taking place in southern Wisconsin. Plus, before we go, here's a look at today's day in history. Big one here in Madison with graduation and Mother's Day, sure to get people out and about, and one local business owner is preparing to make the most of it. Laura Komai is the owner of Anthology in downtown Madison. Her store sells cards and art designed by herself and sister. Now, this past Thursday alone, she sold 378 cards, which she thinks may be a new record.
We spend the whole year collecting cards for Mother's Day. This is probably the biggest card weekend for us of the whole year.
That's for sure. Now, many other businesses on State Street say they could also break some records with large amounts of people coming into town. And it's sure to be a fun weekend as well for Mother's Day. Jacob, you got any plans? I mean, the weather's going to be really nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go down south to my family in Chicago. So it looks like the weather's going to be pretty nice there as well. Now, looking here in Madison, the last 10 days, temperatures have been kind of all over the place. We've had one 80-degree day so far this year. It was April 28th, but then the start of May was actually rather chilly. Last couple of days have certainly been a lot more comfortable. And as we take a look at the highs the next couple of days, they're definitely going to be on the warmer side. We definitely could see our second, third, fourth, maybe fifth 80-degree day within the next week. But after those storms Thursday evening, temperatures are going to cool down quite a bit. Highs will be in the lower 70s Friday and then 60s by the time we get to the weekend. Lower 60s to start the following week. And as we take a look at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, we may start to see those temperatures a little bit closer to normal. And during this time frame, that will be in the lower 70s. So a little bit on the warmer side the next couple of days, but it looks like we'll start to see some temperatures kind of upper 60s, lower 70s. Still very comfortable, just not the 80s that we're going to see next week.
All right. Well, this weekend could also be a good one to have some caddy-free fun and get a hole-in-one, as today is National Miniature Golf Day. The earliest known mention of mini golf was more than a century ago, back in 1912, with an article in the Illustrated London News. It was 4 years later when the first standardized mini golf courses went into some mass production in North Carolina. And so today, be sure to check out your local neighborhood to see if mini golf courses near you are offering specials to stop on by. And of course, it is also Mother's Day weekend, which means for the Madison area, the citywide garage sales are back for many communities. Some of the biggest happening right now include Monona, Waunakee, and Verona, just to name a few. And most were already underway this week and run until the end of this weekend or whenever the garage sales run out of what they're selling. And here's one more fun event roaring into the Alliant Energy Center. We're, of course, talking about Jurassic Quest. Don't miss the life-size dinosaurs, walking dinosaur rides, a life-size T-Rex skull, and fossils. They're all going to be there. Tickets online start at $28 with various times still available for you to go. If you type in the promo code DINO30, our News 3 Now viewers will save 30% on regular priced tickets. So definitely a good deal there. All right, and still to come here on this morning's show, Zach will check in with Friday's sports highlights. Plus, Jacob will be back with a final full check of the First Warn forecast. This is Weekend Mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Here's a final look at the 3 things you need to know. We are going to see very nice conditions this weekend. 80s then in the forecast for next week. Storm chance Tuesday, but a better chance of storms will come on Thursday. And the Thursday storms will actually cool the temperatures down for next weekend. But like I mentioned, this weekend's going to be beautiful. Highs in the 70s, plenty of sunshine, a little bit cooler closer to the lake, but That's really the only blemish in the forecast. Highs may only be in the 50s, though, so just be aware if you have any plans in Milwaukee. Now, overnight, we're going to see clear skies, which will allow temperatures to drop into the lower 40s, upper 30s. So it will be a chilly start to Mother's Day. Not quite as chilly further west, where lows will be near 50, but everyone will see those temperatures warm up very nicely. Middle to upper 70s are in the forecast, and even some lower 80s as you go further northwest. La Crosse to Eau Claire could see high temperatures in the middle 80s for some locations. Now, as we take a look at our next rain chance, it'll come Tuesday. We'll see clouds develop Wednesday evening and overnight. And then for Tuesday, right now it looks like it's just a small chance of some showers and storms. It doesn't look like it's going to last all day, and it's possible a lot of the area misses out on the rain entirely. That's going to be a similar situation for Wednesday, although Wednesday there's an even smaller chance of some rain, just a few isolated showers across the area. For Thursday, rain looks more likely, but we're going to start out the day dry. Could see some isolated showers and storms in the afternoon, but by the evening, that's when we're expecting the thunderstorms. Some of these storms actually could be severe. We don't have an alert day in the forecast yet, but we're keeping an eye on the severe weather potential because this could be one of those situations where we see that line of storms move through during the evening, and that line of storms, which will clear out by sunrise Friday, it's going to really cool the temperatures down for the end of next week and next weekend. But to sort of recap the precipitation chances, pretty much a 0% chance of rain through Monday. As we get into Tuesday, that's when the precipitation chances do increase. But right now it looks like a better chance will be Thursday into Thursday night. And like I mentioned, it will cool the temperatures down for the end of next week and next weekend. By the beginning of the following week, we actually may see high temperatures in the lower 60s with another rain chance by then as well. So very nice, warming up the next couple of days. Again, we do have a small chance of storms Tuesday, even smaller chance Wednesday with a better chance Thursday. And the good news is even with those storm chances, it's not going to rain all day. In fact, Thursday, we may actually see dry conditions until the evening hours. And Tuesday, it's possible a lot of the area misses out entirely. So definitely enjoy the weather this weekend. Then it'll be a little summer-like for next week. Then it will cool back down for next weekend. But even this time of the year, below normal temperatures, still very comfortable.
Right now, Mark Johnson is probably listening to Taylor Swift's Stay, Stay, Stay on repeat after hearing the news that resident Swiftie Lacey Eden is going to return to Wisconsin for one more year. But she's not the only one. Teammate Marion Picard also announced that she's coming back. Eden finished with 57 points last season, 24 goals and 33 assists, while Picard tallied 18 points for the Badgers. After 3 straight first-round exits in the playoffs, the thought is that Giannis is going to leave Milwaukee and go to a team that has a roster ready to win an NBA championship. Now, the Greek Freak hasn't addressed those trade rumors, but his teammate Bobby Portis shared his thoughts on Run It Back if he thinks Giannis will stay in the 4-1-4 for another season.
I just think, man, that Giannis bleed green, though. I think he bleed green, man. I think he bleeds, loyalty. I think he bleeds, wanting that Tim Duncan, Kobe-esque type career, Steph Curry type career where they play with one franchise.
Brewers back on the road, opening up a 3-game series with the Rays. 8th inning, they're down a run, and Rhys Hoskins drops one into the outfield, and check out the hustle by Bryce Terang. He ties the game up at 3, but it wouldn't last long. Bottom of the frame, the Rays load the bases and score what will be the game winner on a walk. Brewers fall 4-3, the final. And that's it for Morning Sports. Have a great day.
Hi, this morning, a cow here in Wisconsin needs your help to win a major award. His name is Denver from a farm near Westby. Now, he's competing to become Organic Valley's happiest cow. Now, Organic Valley says they will plant 1,000 trees once they reach 10,000 votes for him. You can vote for Denver or any other smiling cow at the link there on your screen. That's organicvalley.coop. Jacob, pretty cool stuff. I mean, I don't know what makes a cow a happy one necessarily, but got to go vote for Denver apparently.
Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want to vote for Denver? But I mean, I don't think it's rocket scientists. You know, if a cow looks happy, then it is happy. That qualifies as a happy cow, I guess.
I don't think you've lived here long enough to remember like the commercials, like the happy cows are from California or the happy cows are Wisconsin, whatever it was. So there was like this old advertisement, and yeah, I mean, I think all that was said was that the happy cows are from Wisconsin. And there was kind of the back and forth between California, which is another big dairy state.
That doesn't ring a bell for me, but I feel like Wisconsin's got to take that title back. So go out and vote for Denver.
Exactly.
Let's take a final look at the forecast. We are going to be very nice the next couple of days. Complete sunshine, highs in the 70s, low 80s for Monday, and then upper 70s to lower 80s through Thursday. Small chance of storms Tuesday, another small chance Wednesday, but Thursday evening, that's the best chance to see some thunderstorms. Could be severe. We'll keep an eye on the potential for that. After those storms roll through, we are going to be cooler for Friday and next weekend, where highs are only going to be in the 60s, which is obviously, still very comfortable, and we're kind of getting to the time of the year where below normal temperatures are still comfortable. Could see some rain, though, towards the end of the 10-day forecast, but really, enjoy Mother's Day weekend. It is going to be just about perfect.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you all for watching. We're back here tomorrow morning at 6:30. We'll see you then.